Welcome to Quit Bleeping Around, a podcast dedicated to helping you achieve more in life. Here's your host, Christina Eanes.
Hey, superachievers. In this episode, I'm interviewing Udo Erasmus. Udo is founder of Udo's Choice and author of the book Fats That Heal, Fats That Kill. Welcome, Udo. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, glad to be on.
Well, before we get into this unique topic, I have not had this one on the show before. Can you share a little bit about your background with our listeners?
I basically started in the Second World War. I was born in 1942 in Poland, which was then part of Germany. And I was a refugee kid when I was 2.5, with the communists chasing us with tanks and trucks on dirt roads in horse-drawn hay wagons, all mothers and children, no military presence. And the Allies, the good guys, were using us as target practice. So we were in between that and this, shooting us from planes, right? And then my mother had to leave the road because it was safer to go through the fields as winter. It was really cold. And she had 6 kids with her. She left 4 of them behind because she could only handle 2 kids going on foot. And so I got left behind, and eventually we got reunited. My mother's sister went back and hauled us out of the orphanage where we were. And, so my early life was very hectic. Yeah. And I was very, very shy, withdrawn. I loved books because books are safe. And so I did a lot of reading and I was interested. And when I was 6 years old, I said, I listened to people argue, and we made it out to Germany, and adults arguing about things I thought were really trivial. And I said, man, there must be a way that people can live together in harmony, and I'm going to find out how. That's been basically been my driver all my life. Wow. And so I got into science for that, and I got into biosciences for that, how creatures work and how things work. And then psychology, how thinking works, and then medicine, how health works. But it was only about disease, so I went back into biosciences, ended up in biochemistry and genetics. But I'm most interested in human nature because, so health, like total health, and human nature, because after 200,000 years, we still know how to make a watch better than how to make a human being.
Yeah.
Right? In terms of like, who are we? What are we? What are the pieces? How do we function? Right? And so to me, that is the most interesting and honestly, the only really important topic on this planet, right? Is that we come to terms with ourselves, because out of not doing that, we feel discontent because we're disconnected from what we are. And out of that discontent comes a lot of activity, a lot of which is destructive, because discontent will always lead to destructive activity, whereas contentment might lead to some constructive activity. Right? And so that's basically what I do. I work in health. I work with oils and digestion mostly, because those are the 2 most neglected areas. But my biggest interest is human nature. So.
Yes, me too.
So
we'll have a fun conversation.
So I'm now 74 years into human nature.
Wow.
Yeah, I just turned 80 this year, so I'm just getting started.
Milestone birthday, I love it.
Yeah, I'm a bona fide member of the Old Coots Club now.
Oh. Well, let's tap into that wisdom and experience, that hard-earned wisdom and experience. So our topic, reframing loneliness.
Reframing loneliness,
Yeah, I know the loneliness has been a big topic the last few years in particular.
It's been a huge topic forever.
Forever. But yeah, more the limelight, the media coverage, right, in the last few years.
Yeah, because of lockdowns and all of that, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So what do we need to know?
Well, I'm an expert on loneliness. I remember my highlight of my loneliness experience was I was lying on a lawn on my back in the grass, and looking at a blue sky on a sunny day. And the tears were running down my face. But of course, when you're on your back, they don't run down your nose. They run out of the side of your eyes and then down your head. And so I was watering the grass because I felt so lonely. Right?
Oh.
And it was like, but the question is like, what is actually loneliness? It has to come from, I'm not enough. I need something to complete me. And that's how we talk about it.
Yeah.
But that's also the mistake, because every human being is born complete. Right? And the idea that somebody else will complete me means that I haven't done my homework. Because and the homework is the work we do at home.
Yes.
On ourselves, inside, not in our mind, but in becoming fully present in our space. Right? And when I haven't done that homework, then I want somebody else to complete me. And that's going to be, but the truth is, what happens is they don't complete me. They just distract me from the homework I need to be doing. And that's the reason why so many relationships don't work. And I can tell you, my big relationship, in those days, I saw her and I saw the light and I saw the radiance she had. And it's like, oh my God, right? And she saw me that way, but she didn't see herself that way. And I didn't see myself that way. And so then we got together and I expected that my completion and my wholeness and my loneliness would be disappeared by her. Of course, that's not how it works. And she thought I was going to complete her. And we thought we would have this incredible love relationship, but I couldn't get in touch with the love that is the core that is actually the essence of my being. And she couldn't get in touch with the love that is the essence of her being. So then there we were in a relationship that is supposed to be about love. And if neither of the people who are involved in the relationship can find the love within them to bring it into the relationship, where the hell is this love supposed to come from?
Yeah.
And that's what happened. After 6 weeks, we parted company. 6 years. 6 years and 3 children later, we parted company, and that was a big deal. That was another big deal. And ultimately, I got to the point where it's like, loneliness doesn't come from, loneliness is looking for connection. But the most important connection is not the connection with another person. The most important connection in my life is my connection to my life. And when I do that, and so that requires some kind of a practice. I call it stillness practice, right? So you sit down and you close your eyes and you try to get present, and you try to go into, what does it feel like to be alive? Right? We tend not to do that because we're always running away. Our senses will always take us out into the world.
Yeah.
And that's automatic because it's for survival. Because every time something changes, you got to assess it. Is this friend? Is this foe? Do I fight? Do I run? Do I embrace it? Or do I ignore it because it's not really relevant? It's just like the wind blowing through the trees or something, right?
Yeah.
So we get distracted, and that happened the day we were born, because when we're in our mother's womb, I call it the Buddha tank, right? When we're in our mother's womb, if you think about it, there's nothing to do. There's nowhere to go. Everything's taken care of. It's pretty safe.
It's warm.
It's warm and safe, right? You don't know who you are. You have no language. You have no culture. You don't even know who your mother is. But the focus of your awareness is then at rest inside in its source. And then so you're basically in deep meditation, because you didn't even know there was anywhere else to go. Yeah. You didn't even know that you could be distracted because you were just your body was growing. You weren't growing the body, but you were a consciousness in a growing form in a tank filled with water, right?
Uh-huh.
Just hanging out. And sometimes you see the pictures of fetuses, and they get this little smile on their face, but they're not
Bliss.
irritated and they don't look bored, even though it
Yeah.
must be incredibly boring compared to our addiction to doing things when,
Oh, yeah.
how we live our lives, right? So it must have been incredibly boring. And you spent 9 months in that place and you weren't bored. So there must be something there that must be okay.
Yeah.
Right? And you weren't lonely, even though you were alone in the tank and there was nobody to play with, So you were alone in the tank with a mother surrounding you that you didn't know, but you weren't lonely because your awareness was present to being present inside of your own being. So now what we do is so we came out. Loneliness is one of the symptoms. I have 10 pages of different words that we call our disconnection from ourselves.
Oh, wow.
And the words depend on what triggered it. So if you don't have somebody to distract you, then you're lonely, right? If you had somebody and they dumped you because it didn't work out, because you wanted them to fulfill you and they can't do that, then we call it blues, right? But we also call this emptiness and restlessness and longing and yearning and striving. And we feel it in our chest. It's an uneasy feeling in our chest. It's always the same. Or somebody dies, so then we call it grief or sorrow or sadness. It's like isolated, separated, not enough. The words go on, and it's the same feeling in the same place, but we call it different things depending on what we distract ourselves into hoping to fulfill, hoping to be fulfilled. And then when that ends, and then whatever triggered us going back to our basic disconnection from our, feeling of disconnection from ourselves. That's how we define the word, not by the trigger, not by what it actually is.
Yeah.
And what it actually is that we disconnected from ourselves. But you find it in literature and in music, talking about blues.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just a lonely boy.
There's so many songs on that.
And then, please help me, please help me, please help me, right? Or I used to read Zane Grey novels, Western novels. And the guy is, he's very competent. He knows how to rope horses and, ride and shoot and build cabins and stuff like that, like he's a real man, right? And then, but there's, and so he's like totally confident, but there's still something missing.
Yeah. Loses his wife, his dog, his truck. Yeah.
Yeah. And and he has all that, and there's still something missing. And then he finds the girl. Right? And then in the end, of course, they never talk about how the next 60 years are going to go when he finds her. After that, and they lived happily after. After. How many marriages, where people are living happily ever after? It's a hell of a lot of work.
Scary.
It's a hell of a lot of work, and it's a lot of challenge, right?
Yeah. So how do we feel that? How do we fill that emptiness? How do we reconnect with ourselves?
Okay. Well, the truth is you are already fulfilled. Within you is unconditional love. In fact, the life that is your life, that energy is solar energy. So you're a solar energy gadget, but not an AI, not an artificial intelligence, a natural intelligence, solar energy gadget. And that energy, hits green leaves and it's absorbed and it's stored in bonds between atoms that become our food. We eat the food. We break it down in our cells. It's completely taken down. When you break the bonds, that solar energy is released. And now we call it life energy. Oh, okay, right? Yeah. Solar energy is life energy. And that energy weighs nothing, runs everything. literally runs everything. It's omnipresent in you, it's omnipotent in you, and it's omniscient in you. That's a definition of God, by the way, from in certain religions, right?
Yeah.
And then what you do, since that's already there, then what you need to do is you need to bring your awareness that is always every day being attracted outward to change, to assess and respond. You need to take time, create a safe place where you don't have to be distracted, where you don't have to assess anything for survival value. And in that safe space, you do whatever you can to bring the focus of your awareness back home, out of the world, out of your head, and all of the thoughts and the emotions attached to them.
Yeah.
And into your body, but in your body, not into the meat, but into the energy. And when you do that, and it takes time, because we go out every day, and that's automatic for survival. That's built into us. But going back, it has to be deliberate, because there's nothing inside you going, hey, look at me, right? So there's no driver to pull you back, because you don't have to make that assessment, because there's nothing dangerous in there, right? And so that has to be deliberate. And what starts it? Loneliness, longing, heartache, right? When your heart aches, you have an uncomfortable feeling. We don't like it, so we find lots of distractions, or we blame it on people, or we ignore it, deny it, try to explain it away, go in our head about it. What I say is no. When your heart aches, sit with it. But sit with it gently, quietly. Accept it. Acknowledge it. Feel it. Don't judge it. Just be with it. Because that's the beginning of your journey home to yourself. That is the beginning. That is the starting point. What we try to do is we try to skate around it. We want to feel really good and feel whole and feel peace and feel love and all of that. But we don't want to start where we are. We want to somehow skate around it.
It's too hard.
And it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So what I say to people is this ache that we're calling loneliness, that we're right now reframing, this ache is the greatest gift you've been given other than being alive. Wow, why the hell would you say a thing like that?
No, I love that.
Because we don't like it. And why is it the greatest gift? Well, number one, if you've noticed, it takes you out of your head, grounds you, and makes you simple. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? The second thing, it's your driving force. That is your driving force. So for all the things you talk about, quit bleeping around and get stuff done, right? That's driven. That's driven by the disconnection. And it is the most powerful human need. Is Adler, this is the psychologist Adler said, the innermost striving in every human being is a wanting to move from a felt minus to a felt plus, a striving for perfection, and a striving for God-likeness. Now, he wasn't religious, but so that's striving. So that is your striving. That is your driving force. Everything you do out there, there's always the hope, conscious, subconscious, or unconscious, that when you accomplish what you're not bleeping around for, that when you reach that, then you will feel whole again.
Yeah.
And what happened is I've talked to really rich people who've done huge projects, 20-year projects. A guy who had an airport named after him, and he got it all done and he got it all built. And he wanted to talk to me because he had read my book on fats. And he said, I wanted to talk to you because I read between the lines. There was something that I want to know about. So Well, that wasn't deliberate on my part. So we got together and I said, let me tell you how it goes. When you finish your project, you get about 3 days where you go, yay, I did it. And then the next day, you're depressed. Or he said, well, I wouldn't call it depressed. I would call it let down.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's the same thing. Right? And then what you do is you say, okay, well, maybe I didn't think big enough. Maybe I should have built 10 airports.
Yeah.
Or maybe I thought in the wrong direction. So then you set up another goal. And when I make this, there's that hope that you'll feel fulfilled. It doesn't work like that.
I'll be happy when
syndrome. Yeah, exactly. And there are so many ways that we do that, right?
Too much
but there is no happy when.
Yeah. There's a happy
because
now.
happy is a state of being.
Exactly.
And it's already inside of you. And it's not conditional on anything. It's unconditional happiness. It's unconditional empowering love. It's all-encompassing, never-changing, eternal peace are part of human nature.
Yes.
Right? So the idea then is you sit with the ache. So the second thing, it's your driving force. The third thing is it's your starting point for the journey.
Yeah.
Don't skate around the starting point. If I want to go to New York, but I don't know that where I am, it's really hard to find New York, right? Or if I know where I am, but I don't know where I'm going, that's hard too.
Yeah.
So you need to know both the starting point and the end goal. So if contentment is your end goal, your starting point is discontentment. Mm-hmm. It's actually pretty logical,
message, right? I love the reframing about how it's it's a journey that you need to go on, and not an external one.
And it's your personal journey, and you were given these gifts. And the idea, sometimes people say, well, sitting down by yourself to be by yourself and just indulge in yourself, well, that's selfish. Well, no, it's not, because you were given that gift. And if you don't enjoy it, it's a wasted gift because nobody else can enjoy that gift for you.
Yeah.
But we do expect other people to provide us with that gift. And that's where the problem in relationships comes from. Imagine if you felt completely content and present and whole in all of your being, and it's there to feel, and then you met somebody who also felt like that. Imagine how much fun you could have. Imagine how few burdens you would put on the other person that they can't really fulfill.
Yeah.
And then you can dance and you can play and you can do projects and you can do all kinds of stuff.
Absolutely.
But
I can attest to that.
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
Yes.
I'm sure you can. And I think we all can. And then there's more. When you learn how to bring your awareness home, then you're going to start taking it for granted. That's how we are. Then you're going to drift again. And then when you drift, that ache will come back to remind you that you need to come home.
Yeah.
So I only gave you
I love
4.
it. So it's a message that you need to start coming home. And then when it happens again, it's a message that you need to return home. You kind of.
Right. And so when somebody is lonely, that's not about meeting somebody on the outside.
Mm-mm.
That's your heart. That was the 5th one. That's your heart calling your focus of awareness to come back home inside to its source in life.
Oh, I love it.
And like I said, I have 10 pages of other words for exactly that same thing.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
And that's in a way, you could say this is the epitome of the human condition. Mm-hmm. And unlike trees that their awareness never goes out into the world. Their focus never goes out into the world. So they're just hanging out. They're like Buddhas, right? They're just hanging out, enjoying the sunshine, not thinking about anything, right? And animals, which will go out, but they'll come back. Mm-hmm. We go out and then we get into our head.
Yeah.
And
or
instead
just stay
of
out.
back to our heart, we end up in our head. And then we have all these ideas, including what do you do with loneliness? We put a whole framework around, and that's called the religious framework.
Yeah.
Right? We don't know
who we are.
Yeah. We're asking the question, but then instead of feeling what the masters felt, because they knew what they were talking about, because they actually did. They all did some kind of a practice where they were by themselves and hung out, present to the gift of life, right?
Yeah.
Then what we did, what the religions did with those teachings, is they turned them into head trips.
Yeah.
And the head trip will not fulfill your heart. You can fill your head, but it won't fulfill your heart. And so, then you have the head trip on religion, but you still feel lonely.
Yeah.
Because you haven't actually addressed your own disconnection from your own magnificent, awesome, unbelievably beautiful nature.
Oh, I love it. And that's actually, it's the epitome of what this podcast is about. It's about getting out of your own way and essentially, turning more internal versus external focus on things. Oh, this has been awesome.
Yeah.
We could spend so much more time on this too, I know, but
absolutely.
Unfortunately,
Yep.
we're getting towards the end, but I know people are going to want to learn more about you. So can you share a little bit about your products and or services and how people can get a hold of you?
The physical stuff I do in health with oils and digestion, udoschoice.com, UDOS choice.com. That's the website for that. And then all the other stuff I do is udoerasmus.com. We've only just started really building it. It's a work in progress.
Oh, cool.
And I came to wanting to, 9/11 was the day I said, I need to be more public about this. I was doing the practice. I've been doing it for 50 years, but it was always just for me because it was my issue and my war baby stuff. And, I felt it really useful to find my peace, but I didn't think it was to be used publicly. So I never talked about it until 9/11.
I'm glad you're sharing it now.
9/11, my take home was discontent people will always spread discontent.
Yes.
If those of us who are content, and I claim to be one of those people, if we don't spread contentment faster than they spread discontent, guess where we're headed? And you can see it happening, right? Yeah. So this is topical from that perspective. And it was like 9/11. By that time I was, that was 20 years or 21 years ago.
Yeah. So that was the message. I mean, I'm saying individually for you, not like the world. That was the message for you that you need to get that was your, loneliness is a message that we need to go within. That was for you that you need to spread your message.
Yeah. So, well, it makes sense. I mean, it's a good message. I just never thought of it as anything that a gift other than a gift given for my enjoyment. But 9/11 made it clear. No.
We need to share this more.
You need to actually be public with this.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'll make sure that gets in the show notes in the episode description. Okay. Your final piece of advice for our listeners.
What you're looking for, what you're really deep down looking for is already within you. The only place where you can really find it is by bringing the focus of your awareness deep down inside to where it is, to where what you're looking for is already waiting for you to rediscover it and reconnect.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your wisdom.
Thank you, Christina.
If you'd like to learn more about Udo, visit one of his websites, udoerasmus.com or udoschoice.com.
Christina delivers her speeches to diverse global industries on a variety of topics. You can learn more about booking her for your event at ChristinaEanes.com.